The desert should have ended at the last gas station. That's what Lena kept telling herself as their SUV rolled past the flickering sign that read last fuel 490 miles. Beyond it, the world split into two wild kingdoms, sand dunes on one side and a thick, dark green wall of jungle on the other. Not a normal jungle, not the kind you see in postcards. This was scrub jungle, thorny, wet in the shade, crawling with vines, smelling like heat and rot. 7 friends sat inside the car, buzzing with the kind of excitement that only exists before things go wrong. Lena, the planner. Calm voice, sharp eyes, always checking time. Ava, the camera girl, filming everything, turning fear into content. Nor the brave one, jokes when she's nervous, stubborn when she's scared. Riley, the skeptic. Doesn't trust strangers or shortcuts. Maya, the medic, first aid kit, common sense, quiet strength. Ethan, the we got this guy, confident, a little reckless. Cole, the quiet observer, notices details everyone else misses. They weren't chasing ghosts. Not officially, but everyone had heard the rumor. An abandoned western outpost, hidden where desert meets jungle, swallowed by sandstorms, left behind after a gold rush that ended in blood and silence. Ethan had found an old forum post with blurry photos, wooden buildings, a water tower, a crooked sign that said DUSDHOLLOW. In the photos, the town looked like it was leaning away from the world. Their plan was simple. Reach the outpost, film a sunrise sequence, camp near the jungle edge, and be back on the highway by noon. Then the GPS died. The screen turned gray, froze, and flashed a message. Recalculating, Ethan smacked the dash like that would fix the future. It's fine, phones still work. But the signal bars were already dropping, one by one, like a slow countdown. Riley leaned forward from the back seat. Turn around. We still have daylight. Nor laughed. Relax, we're not in a horror movie. Maya didn't laugh. Maya stared out the window at the jungle line. Something about that green wall felt wrong, too still, too quiet, like it was listening. Ava lifted her camera toward the windshield. If we get lost, it'll be good footage. 7 friends take the wrong trail. Don't say that, Lena snapped before she could stop herself. A mile later, the road forked, one path continuing through open dunes, the other narrowing into a trail that ran between sand and jungle. The trail had tire tracks, faint but real. A rusted sign leaned crooked beside it. Private range, turn back. Ethan grinned. That's the one. The outpost has to be off-grid, that's why it's famous. Cole spoke softly. Or that sign is there for a reason. Ethan turned onto the trail. At first, the shortcut seemed like a win. The trail was flat, packed hard. Sand drifted over it in waves, but the SUV pushed through. The jungle on the right thickened into a shadow. The desert on the left opened like a sea. Then the wind changed. It wasn't the normal desert wind, dry and empty. This wind felt crowded, carrying smells, damp leaves, smoke, something metallic. Nor lowered her window an inch, sniffed, and pulled it up again. That's not normal. A minute later, the car hit something, a violent jolt, like the earth punched upward. The steering wheel yanked. The SUV veered toward the jungle line before Ethan fought it back, tires screaming. What was that? Ava shouted. Ethan slammed the brakes. Silence exploded in their ears. The engine idled, shuddering like it was scared too. Maya was already unbuckling. Everyone stay inside, let me see. Riley grabbed her arm. No. Don't go out, but Maya was practical. If we're stranded, we need to know what broke. She stepped out with her phone flashlight. The beam shook slightly as she moved around the front tire. Guys, her voice thinned, come look. Carefully, one by one, they got out. The front tire was shredded, not a simple puncture. It looked like it had been torn open. In the sand, half buried and almost invisible, sat a strip of wood studded with handmade metal spikes. Old nails, sharpened bolts, twisted wire. A trap. Lena's throat tightened. Someone put that here on purpose. Ethan's confidence cracked. Maybe it's for animals. Cole crouched, studying the spikes. These aren't random. This is placed. Ava swung her camera toward the trap, filming, narrating with forced calm. Okay, this is creepy, but we're fine. No, Riley interrupted, voice low. This is not fine, nor tried to lighten the moment. So we changed the tire. Ethan looked at the back. His smile died. No spare, Maya exhaled slowly. We walk back to the highway, it's not that far. Lena checked the sky. The sun was already dropping behind the dunes. In the jungle shadow, night was arriving early. Then Cole raised his head. He didn't speak at first, he just listened. What? Ava asked. Cole's eyes tracked the tree line. Did you hear? A whistle sliced through the air, not a bird, not wind. A human whistle, sharp, deliberate. Nor's body went stiff. Hello, she called, before anyone could stop her. No answer. Another whistle came from the opposite side, deeper in the jungle. Riley whispered, we're not alone. Maya backed toward the SUV. Everyone inside, now. They moved fast, doors slamming, locks clicking. The jungle remained still. For 10 seconds, nothing happened. Then hoofbeats, slow at first. Then steady. From the desert side, where the dunes met the trail, a figure appeared against the orange sky. A cowboy. He rode a dark horse like he'd stepped out of an old legend, wide-brimmed hat, long coat, boots, a rifle slung across his back. But his silhouette wasn't romantic. It was sharp and predatory. He stopped at a distance, watching them like they were stray animals. Lena cracked her window an inch. Can you help us? Our tire. The cowboy didn't answer immediately. He turned his head slightly, listening toward the jungle. Then he spoke, voice calm, almost bored. Y'all shouldn't be on this trail. Ethan leaned out. We didn't know, our GPS. The cowboy held up a hand, cutting him off. You got spiked. He said it like a weather report. Means the range boys already saw you. Riley's blood ran cold. Range boys? The cowboy's gaze settled on the SUV. Night's coming. Out here, night belongs to them. Ava lifted her camera again, whispering, this is insane. The cowboy looked directly into the lens, as if he could see the fear behind it. You want to live, you don't stay in the open. Maya asked, where do we go? The cowboy tipped his head toward the jungle edge. There's a ranch cabin not far, safe walls, water. I can get you to the road at first light. Lena didn't like it. Every part of her screamed that following a stranger deeper into nowhere was how stories ended badly. But the trap in the road said they were already being hunted. And the whistles were getting closer. Ethan made the call, we go with him. They left the SUV behind and followed the cowboy on foot. The trail narrowed. The jungle shadow swallowed them. The cowboy walked ahead, moving like he knew every rock. Behind them, the wind shifted again, carrying something that wasn't wind. Soft steps in sand. A distant laugh, muffled. Ava turned, trying to film, but her flashlight beam caught only trunks and darkness. Then Cole saw it. For half a second, between two trees, a shape moved fast, low, unnatural. Cole's voice was barely a breath. We're being followed. The cowboy didn't turn around. He only said, don't look back. They reached the cabin as night fully arrived. It was a squat wooden structure pressed against the jungle line, with boards over the windows and old iron hooks hanging from the porch beam like decorations. The cowboy opened the door. Get inside, he said. They rushed in. The door slammed behind them. Lena turned to thank him and heard the unmistakable sound of metal chain, not inside, outside. The chain wrapped around the door handle. Locked from the outside, Riley screamed, hey, open this. Maya grabbed the door, pulling. It didn't budge. Ethan's voice rose. What are you doing? From the porch, the cowboy's boots moved away. His voice came through the wood, calm as dust. Now you'll understand. And from the jungle, the whistles returned. Closer, many of them. For a moment, nobody moved. It's strange what fear does, how it freezes the mind even when the body wants to run. Lena's hands shook as she pressed them to the door, as if force could undo what intelligence couldn't. Riley kicked the wood. Open the door, Nor's voice cracked. He trapped us. He trapped us like bait. Cole finished quietly. Ava swung her camera around the room, the lens catching shaky footage. Dusty walls, a dead fireplace, and shelves full of jars, some with nails, some with coins, some with things Ava didn't want to zoom in on. Maya pulled the first aid kit off her shoulder like it was a weapon. "Stop yelling. Listen." They listened. Outside there were movements, soft, coordinated, not one person, several. Then a sound hit the cabin wall, tap, 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 like someone gently knocking with a bone. Ethan's voice lowered. "Okay, we stay calm. We find another exit." Lena scanned the interior. The cabin looked abandoned, but not old abandoned. It had been used recently. Ash in the fireplace, fresh water stains on a bucket, and the smell, a smell that didn't belong in a cabin. Old sweat, damp rope, and something metallic underneath, like rusted blood, but not fresh, not graphic, just wrong. Nor's flashlight beam drifted to the corner. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Guys on the wall, half covered by a hanging cloth, were carved marks. Tallies, hundreds of them, some scratched deep, some shallow, like counting days or people. Riley stepped closer, swallowing hard. "This is a record." Ava's camera zoomed on another detail, a shelf of phones, different brands, different years, stacked like trophies. Maya's eyes locked onto a small table where wallets lay open, IDs still inside. She picked one up and read the name, then another, and another. Her voice went thin. "These are missing people." Lena felt cold crawl up her spine. "This is not a shelter. This is a collection." Outside, a whistle sounded again, 3 short blasts. Then silence. The silence was worse. Ethan moved toward a boarded window and tried to pry it. The wood was nailed from the outside. Whoever built this wanted it to be a cage. Cole checked the floorboards. "There's a draft," Maya nodded. "Find it." They spread out, careful, quiet, moving like prey learning the rules. Ava's camera light swept across the fireplace. Behind it, carved into the stone, was a symbol, a circle with a slash through it. Riley frowned. "What is that?" Cole's eyes narrowed. "A warning." Nor's foot bumped something under a rug. She lifted the rug and found a trapdoor. The hinges were new. Lena's heart jumped. "That's our exit." They dropped to their knees and pulled. The trapdoor creaked open, revealing a narrow hole leading into darkness. A tunnel, earth walls, wooden supports. Maya tested the air with her hand. "It's breathable." Ethan looked at the tunnel and then at the door. "We go." Now, before they could climb down, something heavy stepped onto the porch. The floorboards above them groaned. Then the cowboy's voice drifted in from outside, no longer calm, almost amused. "You found it." Ethan shouted, "Let us out." "We'll leave," the cowboy laughed once. "Leave? You already did." A loud thud hit the door. The cabin shook. Nor screamed. Maya grabbed Nor's wrist. Down the tunnel, G.O. They climbed down one by one. Cole first, then Maya, then Lena, then Nor, then Riley, then Ava, and Ethan last, closing the trapdoor above him. In the tunnel, darkness swallowed their panic. They crawled on hands and knees, dirt under nails, breath loud in their ears. Above them, the cabin floor vibrated with footsteps, then metal scraping. Someone was searching. Cole led the way, feeling along the wall. "Keep moving, don't stop." Ava whispered. I can't see." Lena pressed her phone flashlight forward. The beam bounced in the cramped space, revealing scratched initials in the wood supports. People had been here before. Some didn't leave. After what felt like an hour, the tunnel angled upward. Cooler air touched their faces. Then a weak moonlight appeared ahead. Cole pushed aside a sheet of brush and crawled out. The others followed. They emerged not onto the trail, but into a clearing between desert and jungle, a place where sand had invaded the trees like a slow flood. And in the middle of the clearing stood something that made Nor stop breathing. A line of wooden posts. On the posts hung old hats, torn coats, belts, and dusty scarves arranged like scarecrows. Not one, many trophies. Riley whispered, "This is a warning to everyone who comes here." Maya stepped forward and found something on the ground beneath one post, a small charm bracelet with the word Sarah on it. Ava's hands trembled so hard the camera almost slipped. Ethan's voice was barely audible. They display what they take. From the jungle, torches flared, one, then two, then three. A ring of light formed around the clearing. Figures appeared at the edges, some on foot, some mounted on horses. And the cowboy from the trail stepped into view again, closer now, his hat shadowing his eyes. He wasn't alone. Behind him were other cowboys, rough men with covered faces, ropes coiled at their hips, rifles slung casual like tools. This wasn't random violence. This was organized. The cowboy called out, voice carrying across the clearing. Now the game starts. Lena's mind snapped into survival mode. Run, they ran. Sand kicked up under their shoes as they sprinted toward the jungle line because the desert was too open and the horses would catch them faster. Behind them, whistles screamed like hunting calls. Hoofbeats thundered, and one voice, close enough to feel, said with a smile, "We like it better when you think you can escape." The jungle swallowed them the moment they crossed its edge. 1 second they were running in open moonlight, sand spitting from under their shoes. The next, they were inside a world of wet darkness, thick vines, thorny branches, and trees packed so tightly that even the wind felt trapped. Lena's lungs burned. Her mind kept replaying that ring of torches, how perfectly placed they were, like the hunters had rehearsed this scene 100 times. Behind them, hoofbeats pounding sand, then slowing as the riders reached the jungle line. They didn't follow straight in. They didn't need to. They knew the jungle. And the jungle, Lena realized with a sick chill, was part of the trap. "Don't stop," Maya hissed, gripping her first aid kit like it was a shield. Keep moving," Nor was ahead, pushing branches out of the way. Riley stayed close to Lena, eyes darting, listening to everything. Ava's camera was gone now. She'd shoved it into her bag and left it there. Fear didn't want footage. Fear wanted oxygen. Ethan and Cole ran on the right, slightly behind, trying to shield the group from whatever might come from the trees. That's when the first whistle changed. It wasn't behind them anymore. It was ahead, a quick, sharp signal answered by another to the left. Cole grabbed Ethan's arm. "They're herding us." Ethan's voice was tight. "Toward what?" They got their answer when Norse screamed. Lena pushed forward and saw Norse stumble backward, arms flailing. The ground under her was not ground, thin branches and leaves laid like a blanket. A pit. Maya lunged and caught Nor's wrist just in time. Riley grabbed Maya's waist. Lena grabbed Riley's arm. For a second they held. Nor dangled over the darkness. Leaves fell into it silently, swallowed by nothing. Maya gritted her teeth. Kick the sides, slowly find the edge. Nor's boots scraped mud. Her foot found solid dirt. She pushed. The group pulled in one violent motion, dragging Nor onto stable ground. Nor collapsed, shaking. That was a pit. That was a human trap, Cole said, not animals. Ethan stared down into the hole. At the bottom, faintly visible, were sharpened stakes, old wood dark at the tips. Not fresh gore, but enough to know what the trap was meant to do. Maya's eyes widened. They don't just chase, they design. A twig snapped to their left. Everyone froze. A shape moved between trees, fast, low, almost crawling. A man. A beast. In the darkness, it was hard to tell. But when moonlight caught him for half a second, Lena saw enough to understand. A cowboy hat. A face half covered by a dirty scarf. And eyes that held no surprise, as if he'd been expecting them all along. Riley whispered, "He's inside the jungle with us." Another whistle. This time close. Maya grabbed Nor. "We can't stay here." They ran again, deeper, stumbling through roots and wet stones. The jungle grew louder now, crickets, birds, the crackle of branches. But underneath it all was that coordinated human sound, footsteps that weren't panicked like theirs. Footsteps that were patient. Cole suddenly slowed, his head tilted like he was listening to a story only he could hear. "What?" Lena asked between breaths. Cole pointed to the right. "Water." At first, Lena didn't believe him. Then she heard it, a faint rushing, steady and strong. A river. Water meant two things: direction and noise cover. It could hide them. It could also trap them. Maya nodded. River leads to roads. Follow it. They angled toward the sound. Branches tore at their clothes. Thorns snagged Riley's sleeve, ripping fabric. Nor stumbled again but stayed upright, jaw clenched through fear. Then the trees thinned. They stepped onto a rocky bank, and the river appeared, black under the moon, moving fast. Across the river, the jungle continued. But between them and safety was a broken wooden bridge, old planks snapped, ropes hanging like dead snakes. Ava's voice trembled. "We can't cross that." Ethan scanned downstream. "We don't have a choice." Cole leaned closer to the broken bridge. "This isn't natural damage. Someone cut it." Maya's face hardened. "Because they want us stuck here." A whistle sounded behind them, close enough that Lena felt it in her bones. Torches flickered through trees. They'd been guided right where the hunters wanted them. Ethan grabbed a rock and threw it into the river to test depth. It vanished with a dark splash and kept moving. "We need another crossing," Lena said, voice shaking but determined. "A fallen tree, shallow point, anything." Riley pointed upstream. There, a massive tree trunk lay across the river at an angle, partly submerged. Not ideal. Dangerous but crossable. Maya's eyes narrowed. Single file, slow, no running on the log, nor swallowed. "I hate this." Ava whispered, "We're going to die." Lena grabbed Ava's shoulder. "No, we don't. Listen to me." "We don't." They started toward the fallen trunk. That's when the first hunter stepped into view. He didn't burst out screaming like a movie villain. He walked out like a man stepping onto his own porch. A cowboy, long coat, rope on his belt, a metal hook-like tool in his hand, used for dragging, for pulling, for catching. He raised his head and smiled. "Even in," he called softly. "You're lost." Ethan stepped forward, trying to look bigger than fear. "Back off," the hunter tilted his head. "Or what?" Another figure emerged behind him, then another. Not all on horses now. Some moved through the jungle on foot, cutting off escape routes with practiced ease. The cowboy who had helped them earlier appeared too, but he stayed back, watching like a referee. "Run," he said, almost gentle. "That's the point." Maya's voice snapped. Now they ran for the fallen trunk, nor went first. She stepped onto the wet wood and spread her arms for balance. Riley followed, then Lena, then Ava, trembling so hard she could barely breathe. Cole and Ethan stayed last, watching the hunters advance. A rope flew through the air like a snake. It wrapped around Ethan's ankle. He fell hard onto the rocks. "Ethan," Maya screamed. Ethan clawed at the rope. Cole lunged, grabbing Ethan's wrists, trying to pull him free. The rope tightened. The hunter didn't yank like a madman. He pulled steadily, like reeling in an animal. Ethan's fingers slipped on wet stone. Cole's face twisted with effort. "Geo," he yelled to the girls. "Don't stop." Lena's heart shattered. "We can't leave them." Maya's eyes filled with anger and pain. "If we all die, no one survives. Move." Nor screamed from the log. "Come on." Cole made a decision. He grabbed a sharp rock and sliced the rope near Ethan's ankle enough to loosen it. Ethan kicked free, scrambling, but the hunters were closer now. Cole shoved Ethan forward. Run! Ethan limped onto the log. Cole followed last. The log swayed under their weight. River roar rose around them, hiding some of the sounds behind. Halfway across, Ava slipped. Her foot slid, her body tilted. Lena grabbed her arm. Ava sobbed, "I can't." "You can," Lena whispered, teeth clenched. "Look at me, not the water, look at me." Ava steadied. They moved again. Behind them, a gunshot cracked, not aimed to kill, but to scare. The bullet hit a tree trunk. Bark exploded. Faster, Nor cried. The first hunter stepped onto the log from their side, testing it like he owned it. The log became a narrow hallway of death, prey ahead, predator behind. Maya reached the far bank first and turned around, arm outstretched. Nor and Riley made it too. Lena guided Ava down. Ethan stumbled onto the far side, collapsing on knees. Cole was still on the log. The hunter was behind him now, closer, reaching. Cole's eyes met Lena's. In them was a message that didn't need words. "If I fall, keep going." Lena shook her head violently. "No, no." Cole turned, swung his elbow into the hunter's chest, forcing him back a step. The log shook. Cole jumped to the far bank, landing hard but upright. All seven weren't intact anymore. Ethan's ankle was bleeding. Ava's hands were raw. Nor's leg was bruised, but they were alive. They ran into the jungle on the opposite side. Behind them, the hunters stopped at the river's edge. They didn't cross, they just watched. And the helpful cowboy's voice carried over the water, calm as always. "You can't outrun the range. You can only borrow time." They ran until the jungle thinned and the air changed again. Leaves gave way to scrub. Scrub gave way to sand. The sound of water faded behind them, replaced by the low hiss of wind sliding over dunes. Dawn was close, the sky paling from black to bruised blue, but the desert didn't feel safer. It felt exposed. Ethan limped hard now, every step grinding pain up his leg. Maya ripped a strip from her sleeve and tied it tighter. "You stop bleeding, you keep moving," she said, voice iron. "That's the deal." Ava's hands shook so badly she had to clasp them together. Nor kept scanning behind them, counting footsteps that weren't there but felt close. Riley listened to the wind, to the silence that meant eyes watching. Cole slowed, studying the terrain. "They won't rush us now," Lena nodded. "They'll cut us off." They crested a dune and saw it, an old service road, cracked asphalt half buried by sand, snaking toward the horizon. Freedom thin and fragile. Ava laughed once, hysterical. "A road, we found a road." A gunshot cracked the air. Sand burst a foot from Lena's boot. Everyone dropped. From the ridge behind them, silhouettes appeared, cowboys on horseback, spaced wide, patient. The helpful cowboy rode at the center, hat low, rifle resting easy. He called out, calm as dust, "That road don't go where you think." Lena rose slowly, hands visible. "Let us go." The cowboy smiled. "Sun's coming up." "That's when the range eats," Maya whispered. "We need a signal." Ava dug in her bag with frantic hands and pulled out the lighter. "I have cloth, dry." Cole scanned the wind. "Smoke will carry toward the highway." They moved together, Lena shielding Ava as she piled cloth and brush against a flat rock. Maya sparked the lighter. Flame caught. Smoke rose, thick and gray, clawing at the pale sky. The cowboys reacted instantly. One split left, one right, flanking, cutting the road. The helpful cowboy didn't move. He dismounted. "Run," he said again, almost kindly. "Earn it." They ran. Ethan stumbled, but Nor hooked an arm under his shoulder. Riley took point, zigzagging between dunes to break sightlines. Cole dropped behind, watching angles, counting shots. A rope whistled past and missed. Another snapped tight around Riley's pack. She cut it free with a pocket knife in one clean motion. They reached the road as headlights appeared far off, far but real. The helpful cowboy stepped onto the asphalt, blocking the line like a gate. Before anyone could react, another figure burst from the desert to their left, horse thundering, rifle raised. The helpful cowboy turned, surprised. A different cowboy, older, scarred, dust-stained, rode hard and shouted, "You don't own this road." Two shots rang out, warning shots close. The range boys hesitated. Not fear, math, too many eyes, too much daylight. The older cowboy slid off his horse and stood between the group and the hunters. "You boys done hunting?" The helpful cowboy's smile thinned. "You're late. Late's better than never," the older man said. He tipped his hat to Lena. "Run, don't look back." They didn't hesitate. They ran toward the headlights, smoke still rising behind them like a scream the desert couldn't swallow. Tires screeched. A truck swerved and stopped. Hands pulled them up. Doors slammed. The engine roared. As the truck sped away, Lena looked back one last time. On the road, the older cowboy stood firm. The helpful cowboy had retreated to the sand, hat shadowing his eyes. Around him, the range boys melted back into the desert, patient as ever. The smoke thinned. The sun rose. Hours later, at a station miles away, police found nothing at the trail. No traps, no cabin, no trophies. Just sand and scrub and a road that pretended it had always been safe. That night, Lena dreamed of whistles riding the wind. And somewhere beyond the last gas station, a hat hung on a fence post, waiting for dusk.